I'm here at my exhibition in Ashton-under-Lyne. In case you didn't catch the first part, I was just explaining that all of the work here is new work, and it's been done towards the end of last year. I started the work, and then in the first 3 months of this year. And then lo and behold, as soon as we put the exhibition up, which was in the middle of March, a lockdown happened, and so therefore part of the market hall closed and this area was closed. So it was only last week that the area reopened again. So I do have an online gallery of my work, but I thought it would be sensible to actually, or nice, just to actually talk you through some of the perspective and background to why I've done this work. As I say, About Ashton, it is not surprisingly all about Ashton. This, if you don't know Ashton, it's a very interesting historic mill town in the northwest of England, quite close to Manchester. And so what I've done here is work that is all about my understanding of Ashton. And just to give you a little bit of perspective, I moved here a couple of years ago to a smaller town outside of Ashton. And so Ashton has very much been the place I come to shop and to look around and to explore. And there is so much to love about Ashton, and I wanted to reflect that in this exhibition. So what I'm going to do is, in a minute, I'm going to turn around and I'm just going to talk about the body of work. I'll twiddle it round now, the camera round now, and hopefully then you'll be able to see. So I'm going to kind of walk around it so you can see some of the hall actually. And then I'm going to turn the camera around, woohoo, back a little bit to show you. I want to talk to you first about these 8 pieces of work. And these 8 pieces are all my mixed media collage, and they are all about the market hall. And so these 4 here, I hope I can stand back far enough. I have to be careful because it's only very narrow. These 4 here are all about the indoor market, and I think you saw a little bit of that just now when I swiveled around. And really these pieces are all on paper, and I'm very pleased with these actually. I really love the effects of mixing collage and paint, and I'll just show you one of them so that you can see. This is actually the fruit and veg stall. What I was really trying to reflect in these 8 pieces was firstly my love of markets. I grew up in a market town down south, and I love markets, and I've fallen in love with the beautiful Ashton Market Hall here. And so I wanted to do these 8 pieces to reflect that. So this one is of the fruit and veg. I'll just walk you around each of them in turn. This one is the DIY stall. This one is a view from the cafe across the market, and this one I've aptly called Fishes and Loaves, which is the fish stall and also the bakery. So I'm going to sort of just hold on one of them so that I can explain to you, and I'm going to try and get close, but I'm sorry about the reflections from the lights. But what I'm really pleased with these was that the type of collage it is, it's not easy to do this on location, even though that's what I usually do. So I did lots and lots of drawings in the market hall, standing in the hall, observing the people, observing the stalls, and did all of the drawings in black and white. And then went back to my studio, which is in a old mill, wood end mill in Mosley, and created these pieces. And in the 4 indoor pieces, I was keen to capture the different roof patterns, so I hope that you can see those. I'll just show you again. So they're all quite different because at different angles you see the different patterns of the roofs. But I was also, in addition to trying to show you to present the architecture, I also wanted to be able to show this whole sort of community of markets and the people and the hustle and the bustle. So hopefully you can see that, those 2 things combining, the architecture and then the real sort of extravagance and exuberance and energy of the market. So that's those 4, and those were inside the market. And I want to now show you 4, and I'll just walk back again so you can see them, of outside the market hall. Because this is a really beautiful market hall, and I wanted to sort of capture it from different angles so I could show the different elements of the outside. So on this one, you can see the tower of the market and then the stalls on the outside. In this one is a very beautiful entrance with gorgeous ironwork and beautiful stonework, and then there's the railings. In this one, it's yet another clock tower, but a smaller clock tower on the outside of the building, and I wanted to capture that. And finally, I really wanted to capture this market trader, a monument or statue, if you like, because it really is a rather stunning statue, and I really love that. So again, at the outside, I was trying to capture the hustle and bustle of the marketplace and the surroundings, but also the beauty of the architecture. And I'm just really pleased with the way they've turned out because of that combination of paper. Now I'll go in close into one of them. Hopefully you can see the use of paper and paint and text from local magazines and things, and colour, and the fact that there's a representational aspect to them, but there's also a sort of a slightly abstract take on it as well. All of these 7 pieces were done on location, and this is what people recognise of mine, which is where I put watercolour down on the paper when I'm in situ looking at it at the scene, and I'm very loose with the paint. It's very vibrant, but it's very loose, and it might not necessarily be in exactly the right place. And then I work over with the line work. And what these 7 pieces are, and I'll just kind of show you as I go down, and then I'll look at them individually. These represent my kind of love of Ashton, and me visiting Ashton and coming here through the town and seeing these beautiful buildings and the architecture and the mill history and the kind of the specialness of the place, really. And so these 7 pieces represent scenes that I'm very familiar with or places where I've come to love. So I'll just go through them. The first one is Cavendish Mill. I'll talk a bit more about mills. I have a great love of mills, and the reason is that my father is from Manchester, and the mill landscape is something that's very familiar to me when I used to come up here as a child. And to me it reflects lots of things about belonging and place and things that I'm very interested in. So this is the first one, which is Cavendish Mill, which is very near, and it's now been converted into housing, or people own apartments there. That's very near to Asda in Ashton, just to give it a current sort of theme. This is another very interesting building. It's in Stamford Park, and it's the old conservatory, which is now in a little bit of a state of disrepair, and there's a friends group trying to save this stunning building, and it was built in the early 1900s, so that's a really special place as well. I was inundated with people talking to me when I was seeing that. It's got a lot of love from the local community. This one is a very beautiful building, which is the old Central Library and Art Gallery. It's no longer the same. It's no longer the library because that's transferred to a new building, but the building is still very much in situ and is used for offices and things. So that's another one. The Portland Basin, and where all of the 3 canals meet. That's another really interesting place, and I was absolutely fascinated to see the amount of history and a whole sort of Victorian street reenacted in Portland Basin Museum. So if you haven't seen that and you are local, then it's worth the visit. That's a really interesting building, and very interesting where the 3 canals connect. And whilst I'm live on here, I can't remember what the 3 canals are, but there we are. And this one, St Michael's Church from the Memorial Gardens. Interestingly, a man just came past and said he liked all my pictures but this one. And I asked him why he didn't like this one, and he said because he got married there 64 years ago. So that's interesting. And then this one is Stamford Street. And it's a street that I'm very familiar with. I walk across it, I walk down it, and if you can see into the distance is a rather stunning building, and the very final picture is that very building, which is the Ashton Old Baths, which is now offices. It's actually been converted, and it's a really stunning building. So those 7, as I say, are my colour first images, and actually quite a few of those are sold. 4 of those are sold. I'm just walking back down now. And then finally, I wanted to talk to you about these 4 images, and these are the very first of my Mill series of paintings. And these actually aren't on paper. All of the other images I've shown you have all been on paper. These are actually on board, and these are as I say, the first of my Mill series. And these are somewhat different in that they are not representational. They are very much more about my feelings about mills. And somebody's just told me to bring them onto camera. I'm trying to show you the whole 4, and then I will bring you into them one by one. So let's go through them as I'm being asked. This first one was the very first one. And this one is called Weaving Ways. And as you can see, it's got layers of paint and paper and text. The text is important to me because I am trying to narrate and tell you the story of these places and what they mean. For me, mills are just such a part of the Lancashire history, and I find them, even in their dilapidated state, I find them very stunning, and I'm really wanting to reflect the materiality of these places and just how magical they are. And I know that in Victorian times they were really hard workhouses, but there is something really about them and something that they mean to Lancashire, and the fact that they are so fitting in their setting that I really want to get across. So this is the first one, and this is called Weaving Ways. This is one that I'm very fond of, actually, and I'm fond of all of them, actually. I'm very proud of these. It's my first of the Mill series, but this one is actually called Wrought Iron and Gold, which is also the name of a chapter in Elizabeth Gaskell's novel. And the reason I've called it Wrought Iron and Gold is because as I was developing it, even though I'm developing it quite abstractly, it gave me that sense of, and I tried to evolve that in the painting, of the metalwork and of the stonework and how they combine together in these beautiful mill buildings. So hopefully you can see that one. And then this one up here, hopefully you can see that as well, is called Chimneys and Roofs. Very aptly, I thought. And this one again has got text in it, and I just need to talk to you about the text, actually, picture. And what I wanted to say was that the beautiful text in these paintings has actually come from very old texts that I was donated by a lovely lady called Louise Fletcher, who runs a wonderful course called Find Your Joy, and she donated these beautiful mill books to me to use in these collage pieces, and they are absolutely fascinating books. They all derive from that. They're all early 1900s or thereabouts, and they're not sort of they're books that the mill people would have actually used. They're about weaving and spinning and dyes, so absolutely fascinating. And I literally put these into my pictures, and they inform what I'm doing with the pictures. And this one is actually called Spinning Around. It really, for me, it's about spinning, and it reflects that. And often some of the mills did weaving and spinning. Some of them just did one or the other. And my studio is in one which is a combined mill that did weaving and spinning. So that's what this one is. And hopefully, if I zoom in, you can see all the different textures and the lines and the effects. So hopefully you can see that. I really, really loved doing these pictures. It was almost like I became part of the mill whilst I was doing them, and I really am wanting to get across the beauty as well as the austerity of these mills and the textures and the special places that they are. And then this is the fourth one. So hopefully, now what I'm going to do now is just whiz you round the whole thing. I've probably been talking far too long. All of these pictures are for sale. I've been told by the stall holders this morning that they've been getting quite a lot of interest, but people don't know how to buy them. There is actually a big sign saying where they can be bought. But I just wanted to mention that actually, if you go on my website on lizackleyart.com, that's where you will be able to see all of the pictures, but do come back to me. So if you say, I've seen a picture but you whiz past it and I don't know what it's about and I want to know more about it, then please do contact me. You can do so on my email or by phone. My email is liz@lizackleyart.com, and hopefully, whether or not you are a local person or whether you don't know Ashton at all, hopefully in these pictures I've been able to reflect something of the special place that this is. And thanks so much for watching, and I guess I'm going to finish there.